In the beginning worked the Word, and the Word worked. Arr! Any debate between atheists and Christians eventually brings to light the fact that there are apparently three ways to interpret the Bible: literally, metaphorically, and a combination of the two. Any literalist watching this, let me draw your attention to Genesis 1, verse 20 through 27, in which God creates all the animals, then man and woman at the same time, in that order, and names them all himself. Now let me draw your attention to Genesis 2, verse 7, in which God creates man. Again. 19, in which he creates all the animals. Again. And 22, in which he creates woman. Again. This time he only names man himself and relies on man to name all the rest. So first in this case, why did God deem it necessary to create all the animals and man and woman twice? Second, what happened to the first batch? Now I predict that someone is going to say that God got to make them all a second time, since being God, he created them all in the first place. This is not the question. What you are telling me in this is why God got to. What I'm asking is why he did. Now let me explain something pretty frickin' simple. When the question begins with why, the answer begins with because. So try starting your answer with this one little word, because, and go from there. Metaphoricalists, let me ask this. Consider please Psalm 14 verse 1, and I quote, "The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, they have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good." If the meaning of the Bible is indeed metaphorical, then it is the metaphorical fool who hath metaphorically said in his metaphorical heart that there is no metaphorical God. It is these who are metaphorically corrupt, who have done metaphorical works, which are metaphorically abominable, and there is none that doeth metaphorical good. I ask you to explain. How in the world does one become metaphorically a fool? How does one metaphorically say anything? What is metaphorical corruption? What kinds of characteristics would make something metaphorically abominable? And most important of all, what is the metaphorical significance of God? And finally, if one's interpretation derives a little from both, then how does one decide which? Are there disclaimers throughout the Bible guiding one's interpretation? If so, then how does one decide whether to interpret these disclaimers literally or metaphorically? I predict that some are going to tell me that they interpret the Bible as God tells them to. But this means that God is able to guide directly, which raises the question of what's the point of the Bible? Is it God who is supposed to help us understand the Bible? Or the Bible, which is supposed to help us understand God? I also predict that I will receive the response that I should take these questions directly to the horse's mouth, as it were. Well, if God has answers to these questions, he may post them here, in the text responses or the video responses, for the benefit of everyone.